changing a habit isn't just about willpower. It's about understanding the emotions that are driving that behavior. So every habit you have, whether it's biting your nails or scrolling on your phone, skipping workouts, each of these actions is meeting some kind of emotional need. So if you want to change that habit, you've got to figure out what that need is and find a healthier, better way to meet it. So, if you're always reaching for snacks late at night, it may not be about hunger at all. It could be stress, boredom, a way to decompress after a long day. So instead of fighting the urge with sheer determination, which is a good way to set yourself up for failure, right? Ask yourself what's really going on. What is actually driving that behavior? Are you looking for relaxation, comfort, connection? Once you identify what's happening there, what that driver is, you can explore other ways to meet it. Maybe it's a cup of tea. Maybe it's calling a friend, instead of scrolling on the phone. The second step is making a new habit easy and accessible. So the easier it is, the more likely you are to stick with it. That makes sense, right? So if your goal is to work out in the mornings, set out your clothes the night before. Have it all ready. If you're trying to cut back on your phone use, put it in another room when you're winding down for bed, instead of having it right next to you and then trying not to use it. The less friction there is, the more easily you can default to a new behavior. Visualization is also super powerful. Picturing yourself successfully making the change helps. Our brain responds really strongly to imagery. And if you continue to focus on that image, your brain does start to believe that it's possible. It can imagine it. And that is the first step towards change. Some people will want to make a change. They say they want to make a change, but they're not really ready. So they're like, I'm a smoker. I cannot imagine my life without cigarettes. Well, that's why it's so important to utilize your imagination. Start imagining yourself. What would you be doing if you weren't smoking? What benefits would you be having? What would your life look like? What would your breath smell like? What would your skin look like? Whatever it may be, to start to create something that your brain can now imagine your life in a positive way. And then it starts making it easier to actually make that change. The more vividly you can imagine it, the more your brain starts to believe it's possible. And you can pair it with affirmations. I know people want to roll their eyes, but they do actually help. I am someone that takes care of my body. I prioritize my self-care. Whatever it is that speaks to you, those positive affirmations do help, just like negative ones do. Everybody rolls their eyes at positive thinking, but no one really rolls their eyes when you talk about how powerful negative thinking is. We all agree that negative thinking is harmful. But when you tell somebody to really work on affirmations, everyone's like, it doesn't work. But it does. It's just as powerful as negative self-talk is. Just much more helpful, just much more positive, right? So, these are all small steps, but they really do work together to help you change. And it's not going to happen all at once. It's little baby steps, micro shifts. But they do come together and can create really big change over time. Small, consistent changes is what will create new habits. And these habits just aren't tied to just what you do. It's tied to how you feel. So you've got to align your emotional needs with your behavior to create real change. So, really being able to identify what's driving your behavior is that first step towards making real change.